First, let me say thank you, LY, thank you, Lou, thank you, Eddie, for allowing us to be here this evening. I'm excited about this race. I'm excited about becoming the next mayor of Baltimore. I came here as a teenager and entered Morgan State University, left with an MBA as an adult. I want to talk about why I'm in this race because of the things that I've done. I started out in banking, and I look at this city as government as opportunity as well as service. And when I become the next mayor of Baltimore, the first thing I want to do is create accountability. I want to know where every nickel, dime, and penny is. Because if you're going to change the public school system, one of the things that you have to do, and one of the things I put in legislation, is to take back control of our Baltimore City public school system, and let's move in the direction of providing more for our young people. And you're absolutely right, Paul. It should be more than 11 or 14%, whatever it is, when other jurisdictions are giving on an average of 35 to 50%. While I started out in banking, I went on to work for the Council for Equal Business Opportunities, where I created and expanded businesses across the city under Sam Daniels, African American businesses. So I know how to create jobs and opportunities. I went on to work for William Donald Schaefer, where I created neighborhood watch programs. So I know what community policing is all about. But what this city needs is a leader, one who is optimistic, who has integrity, who will lead the city with transparency and will create accountability and understand that when you lift the least of us, you lift all of us. We cannot be one city until we recognize that we have to be more inclusive. I love a great downtown. We need great downtowns. As many of you know, we have a lot of people working in downtown. But guess what? 59% of the population of Baltimore County comes to work in Baltimore City. We can do better. We can do better. But at the same time, when I stood on the corner every single day during the unrest that occurred on North and Penn and throughout the city, my message never changed. I said that this city is not monolithic. And believe it or not, some of those people who are living in Sandtown, Winchester, own their own homes. They pay for their houses, and they're not going anywhere. But they want the same thing that every other community, whether you're in Roland Park or Drew Heights, deserves, or Sandtown, Winchester. And so I'm optimistic about becoming the next mayor of Baltimore because I'm going to be inclusive. I'm going to provide opportunities, and I'm going to create jobs because I built the first new school in this city in 30 years, and I know how to do it. And let me just say, one of the things we have a tendency to do when we become mayors is that we throw out the baby with the bathwater, as opposed to defining what we're doing great. For example, under William Donald Schaefer, we created dollar house programs. Others created green programs, green housing programs. Then we have the vacancy values program. There's some good in all of those programs, but what we've not done collectively is figure out how do we do it best. And so going back to a dollar house program, and I wrote about this in Huffington Post, utilizing the individuals who are coming out of our prison system to help us rebuild our neighborhoods. Also looking at the young people who are graduating from our colleges and universities and offering them opportunities to live in our city. The fastest growing population in this city is 18 to 34 and 55 and up, and we don't have senior living communities. I tell folks, let me just say this to you. From birth, all of us are seniors in training. So if we're not doing great by our seniors, we're not doing great by ourselves. And so I will create senior living communities. I will create a dollar house program, and there are ways to create funding for those land banks that make sure that we're doing right by our people and our communities, and our leaders have to take the lead. So I'm excited about what housing can mean to our communities and what the people of Baltimore want. So what smart leadership does is look and see what's happening in other cities. And I can tell you that for about $158 million, we can build an above-ground transportation system that goes from east to west, north to south. I've already looked at it. And it will help us to get our people to work wherever they're located, and creating a centralized area like our train station. And I said 30th Street because I'm from Philadelphia, because that's how it happens. Everything comes into one area, and the buses and the rapid bus system will take off from there. We got to be smart about this. A free bus system is deserved, but it needs to go in and out of other neighborhoods. Again, once we audit the city, know where every nickel, dime, penny is, we will create a system working with the state, as I do work with the state, to make sure that those who are traveling to and from work have the opportunity to get there.
Many of them in West Baltimore, which some of you represent here. Last year, more than 50% of those murders were unsolved. If you are elected, what are your plans to reduce the number of shootings and murders in our city?
First of all, we have too many illegal guns on our streets. And what we do is somebody is caught with an illegal gun, it's a PBJ. And so I think the first time, because we cannot arrest our way out of this problem, I think we should make it illegal. It should be an offense to carry an illegal gun, but we will still keep the PBJ. We have legislation in looking at that now. I think part of the issue that we have in our city is a lack of community policing. And we have police officers who are engaged in behavior that should not be accustomed to our police officers. So one of the things I'm going to create is a community policing area where police officers are trained on how they interact with our communities. The other issue for us is culture of behavior in our neighborhoods and our communities, because we need our police to respect our communities, but at the same time we need the community to respect the police. But what we want them to do is to understand that they should have a relationship with our communities. 75% of our police officers don't even live in our city. So they don't even get to drive their cars home. And so one of the things we're going to do is create incentives for them to live in our city. While our mayor has created an incentive program for police officers to buy houses in our city, the average police officer coming out of our academy is 23, 24 years old. So we want to also, I've begun this discussion with the rental community to allow young police officers to rent houses in our communities. I believe that we've got to work together to help ourselves reduce crime in our communities, because it's not just the vulgar behavior of police officers, it's also black on black crime that's occurring in our neighborhoods. So we have to take some responsibility for what's happening in our communities and our neighborhoods. And I can tell you it's a cultural behavior that we can change. But I think it takes all of us working together. You all to know that I also passed ban the box at the state level in 2008, and also I had a bill signed just last year creating a demonstration project for ex-offenders to start their own businesses. Because when you start your own business, you can hire other people to help your business grow. And I've done that. Working with African Americans and other minorities, we create opportunities across this state to grow businesses. And when contractors do business in our city, they have to be conscious of the majority of our population, which happens to be African American, and all the other minorities that live in our city, so that everybody has equal opportunity.
Next question quickly. Would you support a line item designating $100,000 a year for 4 years to the arena players under your mayorship?
How much?
Well, maybe $500,000. What would you say?
One of the things I talked about earlier and had this conversation is that in our tourism budget, we get taxes, and a lot of that money is dedicated toward tourism, but we don't give it towards heritage tourism, black tourism, our museums, and I don't know whether we get that money from the city or we get it from the private sector, but we will provide the support for the arena players and the other entities, the black museums and so forth. But I think we look at the private sector and where we're already getting money and make sure that it's dedicated and given to those entities.